Today on Geek Devotions, we're talking about Rise of Skywalker and why maybe your past identity doesn't have to affect your future as much as you let it. Hello, devoted geeks. Welcome to Geek Devotions, a show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. I'm Dallas. I'm so glad you hit the play button today. If you're new to our show, we take geek pop culture items and we use them to let people know that they're loved. So if you don't watch past this moment, right here, right now, know this. I love you. I care about you. You have a purpose in life. I promise you. Now, that being said, let's get into today's episode. We're talking about Star Wars, not The Last Jedi. Woo! The Rise of Skywalker. And there will be some spoilers for the show, for the movie. So if you don't want any spoilers, don't watch this episode. Excuse me, gotta hydrate. So today's episode, we're filming it. It's gonna be a little bit different. We're actually recording this live on Twitch right now. And we're doing this for a variety of reasons. So that's why it looks a little different. That's why we don't have our normal setup going on. That's why we don't have our normal HD camera. That's why I have the boom mic happening right here. All right, so it's a little different. Deal with us today. If you don't mind, leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think about this setup. Well, let's get into today's devotion. Have not seen Rise of Skywalker? Guys, I'm going to tell you, I'm about to ruin Rise of Skywalker for you guys. That being said, it was so good. I enjoyed it. All right, don't listen to those critics that are out there like, oh, it's a terrible movie. Look, don't worry about them. Push them out of your mind. Go buy a ticket. Go watch the movie yourself. Make up your own mind, okay? I'm like the world's worst movie critic because most of the movie critics are out there like, oh, it's just not good enough for me. I'm like, come on. You enjoyed the movie. I mean, did you enjoy the movie? You enjoyed the movie. Move on with life, guys. So, that being said, in the movie, something interesting happened. Over the last couple of movies, we've had this journey, this discussion of who in the world is Rey? Who is this woman? If you're unfamiliar for some reason who Rey is, she's this mysterious character that popped up 2 movies ago. And we don't know her identity. We don't know where she came from. We don't know who she is at all. So with this ongoing journey of discovering who she is, there's been theories just everywhere. I remember coming up to the first movie of this new franchise, of the new trilogy, there was like, okay, is she a Skywalker? Right? Because canonically, or at least in the original canon, Han and Leia have a couple kids, twin children, and we're like, oh my goodness, is this one of the twins? This has got to be one of the twins. This has to be a Skywalker. And then when we saw Kylo Ren, we're like, obviously, they're the twins. They're maybe separated by birth. Maybe they separate by birth. And then come to find out, no, not at all. Rey is not the daughter of Han and Leia. So who is she? Did Luke go off and find himself a bride for a while? What is happening here? And so for movie after movie, we were completely confused. We didn't know who she was. But until this movie here that we just watched, The Rise of Skywalker, we found an answer. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting the answer. I was expecting to go, oh, really? Like, I was legitimately surprised by that fact of who she was. So who is she? Who is Rey? Who is her family? Where does she come from? Why is she so good at these things? Why is she so good at the Force? And how does she look so good in a bun? It's really weird. I tried that bun thing. It doesn't work for me. So who is she? This is now where we are into a major spoiler for you guys. You guys have exactly 3 seconds to turn this off. 3, 2, 1. She's the daughter of freaking Palpatine. All right? She is Palpatine's daughter. What is happening? My brain went... I know I suspected it too. It was in the scene where she's trying to force pull down the ship that has Chewie, and all of a sudden she shoots lightning out of her hands. I'm like, what? Are you for real? Yes, that's right. She is Palpatine's granddaughter. I said daughter earlier. I apologize. Granddaughter. She is Palpatine's granddaughter. And I was blown away. But what made this interesting was her journey, because when she found out who she was struggling. Before even, she had these images in her head. She's like, something's not right. She had images in her head of sitting on the throne of the Sith, and she struggled with this, like, what's my identity? And when she found out who she was, man, it just hit her. She's like, this is my past. This is my heritage. This is my bloodline. This is where I've come from. Man, I could destroy everything. And there's this moment where she's talking to Force Ghost Luke, and he's talking to her, and he goes, and I'm summarizing a lot here, but basically says, Leia knew. We both knew. Yet, we still chose to train you. We decided to look past your past. We decided to look past your bloodline, your heritage, because we saw something special inside of you. We knew that you could make a choice to be a member of those who walk on the light side and not walk the path of the dark side. And guys, that's a beautiful story. That's a beautiful imagery for life. And to be honest, it's something we see echoed even in scriptures. I want to tell you guys real quick about an individual named Saul. Now, there's a couple of Sauls in the scriptures. You guys might remember from the Old Testament Saul, but in the New Testament, there's a man named Saul. Now, in Acts chapter 7, you meet a young boy named Saul, and at least we think this is the same Saul. And he was there for the stoning of Stephen. Stephen got up, he preached, people got angry at him, threw stones at him, and he died. And there was Saul as a young man, just holding the cloaks of those who were killing. And the scriptures tell us that Saul grew up to become quite the scholar. He grew up to be quite the young man who knew the word inside and out, and he was zealous. He was zealous for God. But in his zealousness to serve Yahweh, God, he was zealous to extinguish this heresy called followers of the way, the followers of Jesus Christ. Because he saw them as heretics. He saw them as perverting who God was. In Acts 8, it details how he's going around with letters of arrest to have Christians arrested and killed. And then we see something beautiful happen. In Acts chapter 9, we see him experience the Lord. Literally knocked off his high horse and experiences salvation. He's saved. He's radically transformed. And so, in this moment, Paul is now having to reconcile with his past and what his future is going to be. And then we get down to Acts chapter 9, verse 26. Because he has to go for somewhere, and something has to take place in his life. So verse 26, we find out that he's gone to the disciples. He's like, well, clearly I need to go to the disciples. These are the guys that followed Jesus. I need to go hang out with these disciples guys, right? In verse 26, it says this, and when he had come to Jerusalem, watch this, he attempted to join the disciples, and they were all afraid of him, for they did not believe that he was a disciple. I want to ask you guys to put yourself in Saul's shoes there for just a moment. For a moment there, Saul, he's excited. He's like, I'm walking this thing out. I know my future. This Jesus is real. He's the Messiah. I'm going to follow him, and I'm going to go to the guys who walked with Jesus himself. And he walks in. He goes, hi, Saul. You guys remember me? Saul of Tarsus. How's it going? Pharisee of Pharisees. You guys know my portfolio. Turns out, you guys are right. Jesus is the way, and I'm going to serve. I'm a disciple now, guys. And they go, what? What? In that moment, I can't help but wonder what was going on in Saul's minds. Whether or not Saul really understood, for me, I'd be hurt. I'd be like, wow, I just got rejected for my past, for who I was beforehand. So what happens? Well, what happened was Saul was taken by Barnabas, and he sat underneath the apostles, and he learned under some of the apostles. They looked at him, they said, we know your past, we know your heritage, we know what you've done and what you've seen, but we're going to look past that, and we're going to train you. We're going to raise you up. We're going to teach you how to walk in righteousness and holiness, how to serve our Lord Jesus Christ. And out of that, because they were willing to look past a person's past, look past a person's heritage, they helped to raise up the man that wrote the majority of the New Testament, the man who is literally responsible for the fact that the Gentile world knows who Jesus is. Now, granted, we see the Gentiles being ministered to in Acts. Like Acts 10. I think it's Acts 10. I'll look it up later. There'll be something on the screen that tells you what passage I'm talking about, where the Gentiles experience Jesus in a real way. Acts 2 is not the Gentiles, okay? Acts 10, again, I think that's the right one. That's where the Gentiles experienced who Jesus was. But he, Saul, who was also called Paul. And there's some questions about that. Was he called Paul? Was it a name change? Was it just that they started calling him by his Greek name? We don't know. But he's responsible for ministering to most of the Gentile world. Most of what we have in our scriptures in the New Testament about how to walk according to the ways of Jesus came from him. Because a couple guys were like, you know what? We're going to see past your past. We know what happened, but we see more, and you can be something greater. And again, this jumps over back to my parallel of Ray. She had a bloodline and the opportunity to do some crazy stuff. There were some things that were pulling on her to walk in darkness, but she had people who said, no, we see past that. And we think you could be something great. And they helped her with that. And at the same time, they allowed her to grow and flourish. And what happened? Well, she became one of the greatest Jedis ever. That's what happened. She became a Skywalker. She went through her own name change, if you will. So my challenge for you guys this week for Geek Devotions is this. Well, it's two things. One, look past people's past. If there's somebody who's come into your life and they seem to really they're like, look, man, I really feel like I need to follow the Lord. I need to make a change. Look past their past. Don't judge them for the past. Judge them by their walk with God. Help them walk with Christ. Remember, you yourself, you are a sinner. You yourself are imperfect, and you stumbled at times. And if not for certain people to stand beside you and lift you up, you may not be where you are today. So look past their mistakes and help them to walk with Jesus. At the same time, maybe you come from a background where it's a little less than clean. Maybe you've done some things in the past. Maybe you used to be one of those people who railed and hated on Christians. Maybe you made fun of your Christian friends in school. Maybe you're someone who feels like you've done so much that God can never take you back. It doesn't work that way. Jesus forgives, and he forgives completely. When you come in contact with Jesus, when you come into covenant with the Father, there is a change in the spiritual realm. You are divorced from your past. Who you were as a sinner, who you were as a person who didn't know who God was, is now gone. In the eyes of God, all he sees is from the moment forward where you are walking in the blood of Jesus, where you are walking in grace, where you're walking in a new life. Does it mean things are going to be simple and easy? No, it's going to be difficult at times. It will be. There are going to be old temptations, old habits that may rise up. You're like, I want to do this again. And you're going to have to train yourself not to. But you can still walk forward, moving past your past. You have a choice. Be a Palpatine or be a Skywalker. You make that choice. Well, guys, that's your devotion for the week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Question of the week. What is your favorite Star Wars movie? Really curious to know what your guys' thoughts were. And also leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Rise of Skywalker if you saw it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about it? Let's be positive about some things, guys. All right. I know for me, I was really excited to see certain things take place. I was really neat to see the yellow lightsaber. It was neat to see the change take place. And even the restoration of Kylo Ren was really cool for me. So leave comments down below. Let me know. I want to encourage you guys, make sure you check out all of our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and all those places. Also, keep an eye out on our social media because we got some really cool things coming down the pipeline. Celeste and I are going to be announcing next week the theme for the month of February. And guys, it's going to be cool. It's going to be pretty epic. We're pretty excited about it, all right? We got a guest artist who's working on some designs for us for some new t-shirts for next month. And so I'm just really hyped about it. So, again, check all of our stuff and be part of our devoted geek life, right? I'm rambling now, so let's end this, all right? So until next week, remember, stay devoted, peace, and love.